Baudolino is a 2000 novel by Umberto Eco, and, well, translated by William Weaver in 2001, as it is written in Italian, and my Italian is terrible. So anyways, this is the life story of Baudolino of Alessandria in Italy, named for the saint of the same name and place. He enters Constantinople in 1204 while it's being sacked by soldiers of the Fourth Crusade, and he saves the life of Nicetas Coniatus, and this politician is amazed with the peasant Baudolino's knowledge of language, and so he recounts his life story to Nicetas. It starts out hilarious. It's maybe one of the most hilarious, best intros I've read to a novel, as Baudolino is struggling with writing, inflecting his Latin, talks about experience speaking with Alemanni, or Germans, I guess, and a virgin in the forest. It heavily reminded me of the wonderful Simplicius Simplicissimus, which is a great 17th century novel. There's even lines in Latin for a completely other book he can't scrape away, as this is, of course, a palimpsest, which is parchment previously used for some other text. Honestly, it's so good. It's amazing. And I mean, this is my third Echo that I read. This is by far my favorite as well, though, compared to The Name of the Rose and Prague Cemetery. And then the comment about Greeks talking too much right after the one on stereotype of Latins made me laugh harder than I have in a book in a while, though. There's a lot of great stuff, one thing after the other at the beginning. I don't typically laugh at books. So the story proper is set in the 12th century, starting in 1155. Baudolino is adopted by Frederick I, Holy Roman Emperor, Barbarossa, or Rotbart, both meaning Redbeard. He is considered one of the greatest rulers of the empire and one of the best medieval rulers generally by scholars, and he ends up in Paris. Baudolino does. The section is sort of a romance of education, Bildungsroman. It is a very great medieval-esque tale, like The Name of the Rose. But while that is rather strictly historical, this is fantastic. For example, we have beasts you'd see on the edge of a medieval map, or as miniatures in a manuscript or drolleries otherwise. This really blends the fantasy and reality you do see in medieval romances sometimes, and even other texts that aren't particularly romances. Right? It's a great example of putting in a potentially historical fictional thing, like Kyoto, for example, who, if you've read Wolfram von Eschenbach's Parzival, you know what Kyoto is, and that Kyoto is here present in the novel. But Baudolino, he definitely dreams of finding the legendary land of Prester John, which is a very common theme in medieval texts, but there's satyr-like creatures that recount their creation according to Gnosticism. There's also ideas that it's like crude, the tendencies of humans, like the Decameron or Canterbury Tales often. It's funny, right? I mean, like, it's humorous, but also dealing with serious subject matters, right? Like these medieval tales do. But I also think it really shows the suffering of humanity rather well, and the problem with evil. And how do you comfort those suffering greatly? And is it worth a lie to make someone happy as death comes? Again, it gets into some Gnosticism, pretty hefty theology, and gets in some like natural history of Pliny and whatnot. And you have some weird fantasy stuff going on. And the whole trip to Prester John's kingdom is just a wild ride completely. And in a sense, like I said, it's written like it's historical fact, but in reality, like, this is phony stuff, right? As modern readers do. But it reads like something like you'd read, like The Wonders of the East in Old English, for example. So, anyways, it's great. It's a great novel. Leave from Williams Lyceum.